Hey everyone, welcome back to Kitchen Conquest. If you're new here, I'm Jeremy and I love satisfying meals that bring everyone together. There's just something special about food that gives you a hug, and this sandwich is no exception. Today, we're making a hearty steak sandwich with horseradish cream, a perfect balance of rich, smoky beef, creamy heat from the horseradish, and a savory dipping sauce that ties it all together. This truly is the kind of meal that makes you want to pause after every bite. Just imagine biting into this bad boy. Now, great food isn't just about eating, it's about sharing, about that feeling of sitting down with friends or family and just enjoying the moment. So whether you're making this for yourself or for the people you love, get ready for something incredible. Stick around because I'm going to be breaking down every step, from choosing the right cut of steak to building the perfect bite. Let's get started. Let's talk ingredients. A great sandwich starts with great components. And for this hearty steak sandwich, we're going all in on bold flavors and perfect textures. First up, the star of the show. We're using chuck steak. Why chuck? Because when cooked right, it's incredibly flavorful and tender. This cut has just the right amount of marbling to keep it juicy, and slow roasting it will take it to the next level. And of course the bread. You want something with a good crust but a soft interior. I'm using a rustic loaf that can hold up to the layers without getting soggy. Now for the punch. This horseradish cream sauce is where things get exciting. It's tangy, spicy, and cuts through the richness of the steak beautifully. Trust me, you don't want to skip this part. We're going double cheeses, because why not? Swiss cheese for that nutty flavor and smoked gouda to bring in a little extra depth and richness. And to balance things out, a handful of fresh arugula, peppery, crisp, and the perfect contrast to all the richness. For the dipping sauce, we're sauteing mushrooms, serrano peppers, and onions. This is where a ton of deep, savory flavors come from. We'll strain them out after cooking, but don't worry. We're using those cooked down vegetables inside the sandwich for even more layers of flavor. Now that we've got everything ready, let's start by making our horseradish cream sauce. It's quick, simple, and absolutely essential to the sandwich. We've got mayonnaise and sour cream for richness, Worcestershire for a little umami depth, horseradish for that sharp heat, and just a pinch of salt to bring it all together. It's creamy, tangy, and has just enough heat to cut through the richness of the steak. Taste and adjust as needed. Want more punch? Add more horseradish. Too strong? A little extra mayonnaise will smooth it out. Now for the main event, this beautiful chuck steak. We're keeping the seasoning simple, but effective. Just salt, pepper, granulated garlic, and granulated onion. You don't need anything fancy. This combo lets the beef shine while building a deep, savory crust. For the perfect steak sandwich, we want that deep golden crust that locks in all the juices. That means a hot pan, a little oil, and no moving the steak around. Let it develop that beautiful sear. After about 2 to 3 minutes per side, we've got the crust we want. But here's the trick. We're not cooking it all the way through in the pan. To keep it tender and juicy, we're finishing it in the oven at 250 degrees Fahrenheit or 120 degrees Celsius for about 20 to 30 minutes until it hits an internal temperature of 120 degrees Fahrenheit. And don't forget to let it rest. Now that our steak is ready, it's time to build even more flavor. Let's make that rich, savory dipping sauce. We're using roughly chopped mushrooms and onions. No need for precision here. The mushrooms bring that deep umami flavor, and the onions will break down and add sweetness to balance the heat from our serrano peppers. We're starting with butter for a rich base. Then we're tossing in our mushrooms, onions, and serrano peppers for just the right amount of heat. Let them cook down until they're soft and golden. This is where the magic happens. The onions get jammy, the mushrooms soak up all the butter, and the serrano adds a little fire to the mix. Now a few sprigs of fresh thyme. This is going to bring a subtle earthiness and just a little herbal lift. Then some garlic, just enough to round everything out to deepen the flavor. Add in a little flour to help thicken the sauce to give it that smooth, velvety texture we're looking for. Now for our liquid. Just water for now, but we're about to load it up with big, bold flavors. Instead of pre-made broth, I'm using beef bouillon cubes. They pack way more intense, meaty richness, and it lets us control the flavor. We'll let this simmer low and slow until it thickens and coats the back of the spoon. That's when you know it's done. Finally, we're going to strain it out to get that perfect smooth texture. The time goes, but don't toss the vegetables. These are going back into the sandwich. Alright, now it's time to bring everything together. This is where all those bold flavors and textures combine into one perfect bite. We're slicing the steak nice and thin because the chuck can be a little tricky. It's got amazing flavor, but if the cuts are too thick, it can be chewy. Keeping it thin ensures every bite is tender and juicy. First up, the base. This beautiful rustic bread. Lightly toast it for that perfect crunch that'll hold up to all of our layers. Next, our horseradish cream sauce. This is going to bring that zingy, tangy, creamy bite that cuts through the richness of the meat and cheeses. Now the star of the show, our beautifully cooked, juicy steak. Stacking it high but not too thick, so every bite stays balanced and tender. I'm adding a little gravy into the sandwich, followed by some more horseradish cream. Then Swiss for that nutty, creamy melt. I'm using a torch, but the broiler option on the oven will have the same effect. Do you remember those sauteed veggies from the dipping sauce? We're bringing them back to add depth and sweetness and a little heat. Then smoked gouda for deep, smoky richness. This combo is next level good. And for some fresh contrast, some peppery arugula. This gives us a little crunch and a nice bite to balance everything out. And just like that, we have built a sandwich that's hearty, rich, melty, and absolutely packed with flavor. Alright, now for the final touch. We're going to cut it in half, because we eat with our eyes first, right? Let's make sure the sandwich looks just as good as it tastes. And look at that. Perfectly melted cheese, juicy steak, and those bold flavors stacked together. For plating, I like to keep it simple. Just let the sandwich shine. No need for fancy garnishes when you've got this much flavor packed into one bite. And of course, the star on the side, our rich velvety dipping sauce. This is what takes a sandwich from good to unforgettable. And there it is, the ultimate hearty steak sandwich with horseradish cream and a bold, flavorful dip. This is the kind of meal that just warms your soul. Whether you're making this for yourself or sharing it with friends and family, it's the kind of sandwich that brings people together. And I guarantee this recipe's a keeper. All right, for the moment of truth. We've built a beast of a sandwich. Now let's see if it delivers. Oh yeah, that's exactly what I was going for. The steak is juicy, the cheese is perfectly melted, and the horseradish cream, just the right amount of zing to cut through the richness. And that crunch from the toasted bread, perfect contrast. This is everything you want in a hearty steak sandwich. Savory, creamy, cheesy, a little spicy, and ridiculously satisfying. Honestly, I don't even want to talk anymore. I just want to finish the sandwich. This is the kind of meal that just hits the spot, whether you're making it for yourself or for a crowd. It's one of those dishes that just brings people together. As always, thank you for watching this video. If you enjoy sandwiches, you'll love my barbecue pimento burger with candied bacon lollipop. I'll link it here at the end. I'll catch you all in the next video.